Hi, my name is Hannah Skilla, and I want to thank you for allowing me to interview you for my interviewing class.
Yeah, no problem.
Can you go ahead and introduce yourself to us, please?
So, my name is Kelsey Cox, and I'm the assistant administrator here at Laugh and Learn Daycare in Asheville, Ohio.
Is there any other job that you do, or you just partake in the daycare here in town?
No, this is not my only job. I actually have, so I'm kind of like a contractor. I'm contracted with Action for Children, which is a nonprofit organization that provides a lot of information on childcare, how to find childcare. They provide PD courses, like professional development courses for teachers. They do a lot of other stuff. But generally, it's a nonprofit to promote the development of the child in many ways, at home, school, anywhere. So I'm actually contracted with them. So I have two different contracts with them. So one of the contracts is that I am an instructor to teach those PD courses, to teach those professional development courses for preschool teachers, infant toddler teachers, ESC preschool teachers, that kind of thing. So I'm an instructor for that. And then I also have a contract with them to do parenting classes. Excuse me. So in the parenting program that we do, that I'm trained in, is called Triple P Parenting, and it basically stands for Positive Parenting Program.
Okay.
So I teach those courses. They actually, I had a contract with them to be to go through the classes and to go through the accreditation process, which is kind of lengthy and very time consuming. But I actually just finished those this past June. So I've been delivering Triple P since then as a contractor for them.
Okay. Can you tell me how many times you have to do this? Like, do you do it often or just here and there?
So it's nice with Action for Children because it kind of bases off my schedule.
Okay.
So my schedule here at the daycare is flexible for the most part. So I kind of, Action for Children kind of says, hey, when can you work, when can you not work, and it depends on the different things I'm doing. With one of the contracts with Action for Children, I teach CDA programs, the CDA program. So, and what the CDA is basically a child development associate.
Okay.
So it's not quite equal to an associate's degree, but it's just a stepping stone to get your associate's degree. So I do that right now, and also it depends on when the classes are going on. Right now at Through Action for Children, we have, I believe, 3 cohorts or 3 groups of classes going on right now. The one that I'm teaching right now, I am teaching Module 6. So I'm not teaching the whole thing, but I'm teaching like 2.5 weeks. And right now it's Mondays and Wednesdays. When I do Triple P, and then after the CDA is done, I'll have a little bit of a break until the next group of class comes in.
Okay.
Now Triple P, it's a little bit different because, I have a lot of say in that, but it's more so of, I have a different coordinator for that. So she kind of decides, like, I'm going to plan these Triple P classes, and then I'm going to ask you which ones you can do.
Okay.
So right now for them, I'm running a group. It's just a session of classes. There's 4 and 1. And right now I'm doing that every other week, one time a week. So I would say probably 2 to 3 evenings at the most. That's probably when I'm most busy. After the CDA, it'll probably only be once every other week or maybe twice a month.
Okay.
And then occasionally I'll do Saturday classes. So, and I actually, believe it or not, I really do like teaching Saturdays because the classes that I teach on Saturdays are, for the most part, in the morning. And it kind of just makes me feel good because then I'm not missing much of the daycare.
Yeah.
And on Saturdays I kind of do that, and then it's just a nice
Yeah.
it's a nice thing to do on the weekend, and for the most part I have, pretty good turnout.
Good.
So I really like it, and it keeps me busy, and it keeps my mind young because I always say, I always learn something
Right.
from the participants. I mean,
Right.
I really do.
Yes, I agree. Now, you keep mentioning Action for Children. Can you explain
Yeah.
what that is to me, please?
So Action for Children is basically a nonprofit organization. It's located in downtown Columbus. So they do kind of a variety of different things. They do a lot of things. So I think basically the principle is, and their goal is to basically provide resources to allow the healthy development of a child. If that be at home, if that be, at the center or school, wherever. So they provide professional development courses for teachers and centers, preschools, that kind of thing. They also they also provide parenting classes other than the Triple P that I mentioned, and I'll go a little bit into more of what that is in a minute. They also provide resources for parents. They help parents find childcare. So, as you know, it's hard to find childcare because a lot of people don't really know that you should find licensed childcare. So, if a parent is looking for childcare, they can go to Action for Children, and Action for Children will provide them a list. I think they even have reviews, so they can help you find childcare for your child. And also they work with centers like us. They actually worked with us to get our Step Up to Quality Star.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different people that work there, and they do a lot of different things. So there's a lot of different projects going on, and a lot of that depends on grant money, since they are a nonprofit. So yeah.
Perfect. Can you give me a little bit more information about the daycare that you work at?
Yeah. So we're a small, locally owned business. We started 17 years ago. And since then, we've grown. We're at full capacity right now. We're licensed for 32 children, and we have about 31. So we're pretty full right now. And we also have a waiting list. So I always tell anyone, that takes the tour with us, like, there's a reason why we've been in business for 17
Right.
years. And now that's kind of unheard of these days. Usually daycares are only in business for a shorter period of time.
Right.
So that's kind of on our side, that level of experience. So we have 4 classrooms. We have an infant classroom, which is, we take infants as young as 4 weeks. We've had them as young as 4 weeks,
Oh,
which is
wow.
very little, providing that their doctors sign off on them to start daycare. And then we have another classroom that basically, it just depends, but typically it's about 12 months, or whenever they start walking, because it depends on their development, until about age 2, 2.5, sometimes younger if they're really showing an interest for pottying.
Okay.
And then we have our potty training room, which is whenever that interest of potty training is, and whenever they really start using pull-ups, and when their parents start working with them at home. So that's usually anywhere, I've seen as young as 18 months up to about 2.5 or 3, whenever they're potty trained.
Okay.
So, and then we have a preschool room, which all of those children are fully potty trained.
Okay.
So, each classroom has their own daily schedule. The infant room, they all have different schedules. You know that infants are not the same. Not one infant schedule is the same as the others. So we actually, the state, we have a state form that's called the Basic Infant Information Form, and on that form, the parents kind of write out what their infant schedule looks like. How often are they feeding? Do they like to be swaddled in their blanket when they go to sleep? Do they take a big seat? Do they suck on their hands? Those kind of things kind of help us to make the infant's day just flow nicely, because we're aligning it with what's going on at home. We're on the same schedule as home. So that's really nice. on if they're walking or if they're beginning to walk. We kind of just play it by ear, and if also if we have room, if we have a space for the next classroom. So we really just look at the child's development if they're ready or not.
Okay.
The next classroom is our younger toddler room. Like I said, it's whenever they kind of start walking. Usually about 12 months. I mean, infants can walk as young as 9 months. Up to, they can start walking even at 16, 17 months. That's still within the normal range. So it's just whenever they're ready to come out here in that room. And depending on the age of that ratio is usually 1 to 6 or 1 to 7.
Okay.
Right now, our children are older in that room, so we have a ratio of 1 teacher to 7 toddlers.
Okay.
In that room, we also have a daily schedule. Now, it's obviously a little different from the infants because they're not taking bottles, they're not on feeding times. So in that room, they do things like circle time, which is basically, just a time in the morning or afternoon where all the children sit around and they sing songs, they talk about the weather, they maybe read a book, just kind of to get that class of community learners.
Right.
So we do that, and then, we try to go outside. We have gross motor time twice a day, weather permitting.
Yeah.
And then within there we have breakfast, lunch, snack. And our parents actually do provide lunch.
Oh, okay.
So we provide breakfast and snacks. And then we also provide milk and juice. So that room's really fun. I really enjoy that room. The next room is the potty training room. This is the fun room. This is probably my favorite room actually. And it's also, I think, the most challenging, but I think it's definitely my favorite. So again, depending on age, whenever they're developmentally ready to move on to the next room, if they're showing interest in pottying, or if parents are trying at home, or if they're of age to move up, then we move them up depending on spot. Again, depending on the youngest child's age, the ratio could be anything from 1 to 7 to 1 to 8. So right now we've kind of got about the same age group as the other class. So that ratio is 1 to 7. Again, we also have a daily schedule in that room. The same kind of things as was over there.
Okay.
So we do different art activities, we do circle times, we do read aloud, we do science and exploration. We kind of do all that stuff, and then also going outside. And then with our preschool room, whenever the potty trains, they move into the preschool room, and they also have their own schedule. I think it's really important to point out also that in the preschool room, we really, even in the center in general, one of our goals as a daycare, as a center, is to prepare children for kindergarten. And not just writing their name, knowing their address, knowing their shapes, that kind of thing. We want to prepare them socially and emotionally for kindergarten, because if you talk to any kindergarten teacher, that's probably the one skill that's lacking most of children that enter kindergarten. So we kind of strive to get them ready in all areas and look at the whole child. The child as a whole, instead of just, writing their lit name, spelling their name, that kind of thing. So, and we've actually got compliments from kindergarten teachers around here saying, we can tell which children went to your center, like they're much more ready than other children, they don't only know their shapes, their letters, or how to spell their name, but they also know how to share with friends, and appropriate ways of, dealing with conflict and that kind of thing. So I think that's really great.
Yeah, that is really good. I know you mentioned Step Up to Quality in the previous question. Can you kind of give me a little bit of information about that?
So Step Up to Quality it's basically a tiered rating system. So think kind of like a hotel rating system. Would you want to go to a hotel that has 1 star or a hotel that has 5?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it's like, and as each level goes up, it becomes a little harder to achieve. There's more steps involved, more paperwork, that kind of thing.
Okay, so is this center rated for Step Up to Quality?
We actually are. So we actually just went from, we were rated star 1 because everybody has to start at star 1.
Okay.
That's your first initial one that you have to start at. We actually recently applied for a Star 5, and we just got it. We just got our verification visit 2 or 3 weeks ago, so we are a Star 5 now. So we're the
Wow.
highest age you can get.
That is awesome. Now, what are the things that you do as an assistant administrator to help you guys, your center, reach the Star 5?
So, kind of a lot of different things,
Yeah.
but mainly for Step Up the Quality, I'm in charge of paperwork. Like I mentioned before, there's a lot of different forms and papers that you have to fill out
Mhm.
that the inspector looks at. A lot of forms for like the children, like a lot of family information forms, parent forms like that they fill out. We have to host parenting workshops. We actually just did one a couple months ago, just kind of explaining to parents what Step Up to Quality is. And I think that really helps them because really, I mean, I've heard a lot of different centers have problems with getting their parents involved and their
Okay.
families involved, but we don't really have a problem with that. I mean, we communicate with our families every single day,
Mhm.
twice a day, and let them know how their child's doing, and then we also keep them, up to date and in the know about their assessment.
Okay.
Because one of the benchmarks for a Star 5 is that we do a formal assessment.
Okay.
And that basically just means that we're keeping track of children's progress and we're helping them to reach the next step within that progression.
Do you communicate that with your parents? And if so, how do you guys do that?
So, like I said, we daily communication. Every single parent leaves here with some kind of report of how their day went. And also, like I mentioned before about the parenting workshops,
Mhm.
we do those at least once or twice a year.
Okay.
And then also after assessment, like after our checkpoint period, we do things called parent-teacher conferences, which we meet with parents one-on-one to discuss their results. Basically to just say, hey, they're on track, or, maybe in this area they're a little off track, but here's what we're going to do to kind of catch them up, and here's what we're going to do to take them to that next level.
Okay. Now, do you guys have to have documentation for that, for the assessments and everything?
Yes. So, we actually, we don't use our own assessment. We actually use an assessment called Teaching Strategies Gold, which that's the company name, Teaching Strategies. We also use their curriculum. So, when we purchased the curriculum, we also we started implementing that first before the assessment, and then just recently we started doing the assessment. We started doing the assessments on the iPad. So we recently purchased iPads for all four classrooms, and it's actually worked out really well because there's an app for it called Gold on the iPad.
Okay.
So the teacher, whenever they do an activity or maybe they see two children kind of working out a conflict or something, they take a video or a picture, or they even take a note of that.
Yeah.
And that helps us with our assessment. It helps tell the parents, hey, this is where they are, and next time they're going to learn this, or the next step is,
Yeah. Do you think the assessments and the curriculum has helped the teachers as well as the students?
I think so, because I think it, because we've always done a good job
Right.
with the kids, and
Right.
we've always got compliments, about preparing them and everything, but I think that it almost makes it easier for us, because we can more individualized plan for each child, because before it's kind of harder to see, which child needs what, and now, in this day and age, everything is so, it's so much easier with technology, right?
Right, yeah.
So I can literally just pull up, a certain child and look at their checkpoint, they call it. That's one of the assessment words. So we kind of look at what the child is currently doing, and if they maybe are like kind of low in a certain area, we can say that child needs an activity on holding a pencil.
Mhm.
While the rest of the kids might know how to hold a pencil, or they might not have any problems with it. So that right there, you're individualizing for that child,
Right.
and you might even differentiate with that child too if you're doing an activity where that child maybe needs some hand holding.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to go over and help that child physically hold the pencil. When the other kids, you can just let them go on their own.
Okay.
So I think it's helped everybody, and I think it's helped our parents too be more like involved and kind of know a little bit more about what we do. Because
Right.
previously, it's always, people always think this, they think we're just babysitters.
Right.
But I think it's helped us to become more of a professional persona,
Yeah.
I think, and I think that's helped us as a center as well.
We're almost done, but I have one more question for
Yeah.
you. What is your teaching philosophy?
So that's a lot of different things again. So I truly believe in the whole child approach. So I believe a child should learn in all areas, not just reading and writing.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm not in an elementary school teaching with standardized tests.
Yeah.
I really believe also that every child learns differently.
Mhm.
I'm one of those children.
Right.
I am just naturally, and some people are like, that's embarrassing to admit, but I'm just a slower person in general. Like,
Right.
I'm slow to process. I'm slow at, I'm slow at grasping concepts.
Mhm.
I need to see it and practice it multiple times before I get it.
Okay.
And, I think a lot of our kids are like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, teachers are patient, but I think a lot of times our patience runs
Mhm.
thin because we don't really picture ourselves in that. And I think that's why I do so well with the kids is because I've been there, like, I know, like, I'm like that now with certain
Right.
things.
Right.
So I definitely believe that every child learns in their own way, and us as teachers, I think that we need to just keep in mind that.
Right.
And really just work with those children on there. And lastly, I think that children need hugs.
Mhm.
It's sad to say, but I keep talking about this generation, and I am this generation,
Yeah.
but like in this day and age, like the trauma rates
Mhm.
are just through the roof. Childhood trauma. There's a lot of it, and a lot of it happens at home.
Mhm.
And it could be the littlest thing, you know what I mean? And that could be trauma.
Yeah.
So for a child, I want them to come here, and I want them to feel safe. I want them to feel loved.
Mhm.
I want them to come here and say, this is my safe place. I can't wait to go to school.
Right.
And I learn here, and I feel safe learning here, and I can say I can be myself.
Right.
Because for a lot of times, kids don't feel like they can be themselves.
Yeah.
So I want them to know that they're accepted here,
Mhm.
and that we will welcome them with open arms, and that they will be taken care of.
Well, thank you for allowing me to interview. Do you have any questions or comments for me?
I don't think so. That was a really great interview. Thank you for having me.
Perfect. Thank you.